Hey, welcome to 21 Days of Prayer and Fasting. We're almost there. You almost made it, but there's still a few more days, so finish strong. Keep going at this. And we got another Devo for you today. And with me is Pastor Jessica. Happy whatever day you're watching this.
Yeah, whatever day it is.
Yeah,
We're
whatever
glad you're
day it
here.
is.
I mean, that kind of lends itself to, what I was thinking about and, wanted to share today is that it's just not too late to start.
hmm
It's not too late. Even though we're nearing like the end portion of the 21-day fast, it's not too late. And learning that with like your family, it's not too
hmm
late to include them as well. If you have children or, it doesn't matter what age they are, include them in the fast. And when you do that, there's some really cool things that the Bible talks about that God will do in your life.
Yeah,
You know,
and maybe you didn't even think of including your kids. Maybe you
right?
just thought, oh, this is an adult thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's easy to think that way. Okay, how am I going to get this done? As a mom, I thought how is me fasting going to work, and then doing meals for my children, cooking meals for my family at home. Now, thankfully, my husband and I are on the same journey. We are,
Mhm.
fasting together. But for my children, I was like, what do we do? And, in his wisdom, he was just like, hey, we're just going to do it together. Let's just everybody do it together. And so we did have my kids start, and we're not making two separate things. Everybody is,
Mhm.
fasting together, doing the same thing. Now, I'm not sending my children to school with a lunch. They're taking
Yeah.
lunch to school, but it's whatever we are doing at home. We're having them do that and with us, which is really, really cool. So,
hmm
but the Bible talks about some of these things that when you fast together as a family, there's power in unity. Doing that together, it really creates unity. Psalm 133 says how pleasant it is when God's people live in unity together, and I believe that talks about the family as well,
hmm
not just the church, but the family unit. Fasting together as a family, it will draw you closer to one another.
Mm.
Your children are going to ask questions about it. They're going to be curious about that, um, and really want to know more about God and what is fasting and ask those questions. It promotes that opportunity. But loving and serving one another. And this has been huge in our home. I've seen my children, when I'm like, hey, we're not, we're not going to eat this right now. Or if somebody comes in for our kids, the big thing is sugar. We're just not doing sugar. And I know a lot of parents do that.
Yeah.
But for them, it is a sacrifice. That's a daily thing. That's a reward at school is sugar, is
Yeah.
candy and different stuff like that. And I've watched my children go, I got this at school, but I'm going to put it in the candy jar because I know I can't have it right
hmm
now. And that's huge. Like that's spiritual growth for them.
That's more
But
self-control than I have with
Oh, it's
candy. I
crazy.
I
It's
can't say no to
crazy.
candy.
For like a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old to do that is crazy. And it's not overnight. It happens over time.
hmm
It happens with parent involvement, and doing that. But the loving and serving one another, I watched the other day as we were going into the store, and I said, hey, we need to get a few things for groceries. What do you remember? What are the things,
hmm
that we can bring into the house right now? And they started going, okay, well, we can have this, and they would pick something and be like, can we have this? And I'm like, well, no, but this might be a good option. And my daughter goes, ooh, it's cold in this store, because we were in like the
Oh yeah.
veggie section, and Wilhelmina was like, it's so cold in here, and Atticus was like, would you like my sweater?
Uh,
And he literally took his sweater off and gave it to her. I'm going to tell you right now, he has never done that before in his entire life. I have never seen
it was the
him.
candy. The lack of
It was the
candy.
lack of candy. It was the clarity. It was honestly, it was the unity. It was the building the love for one another,
hmm
and us doing something together.
Yeah.
Kids love playing board games with you. They love spending time with you. So it's important to include them in the spiritual things that you're doing. They're going to want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And you'll see those little tidbits of growth, like that kindness and like that sacrifice that they gave. But it's also teaching dependence on God.
hmm
So Matthew 6:11 says, "Give us, today our daily bread." It's that, and the fasting helps children remember their dependence on God. This is for God. This is what I'm doing. I'm relying on Him. I don't need that, right now. I'm going to rely on Him. And that'll encourage you so much as a parent and as a family when you do that. But all that to say, it's just not too late.
Yeah.
It's not too late to start. I know there's only a short time left, but even now, if you can do something, for 2 or 3 days with your kids, include them, just have like a good family devotional about it.
Yeah.
Talk to them about it, communicate to them about it, and tell them, hey, we're sacrificing because we love God.
Yeah.
This is a very tangible way to show your love for God, not just coming to church, not just volunteering, not just listening to K-Love or whatever's on the radio.
Yeah.
This is a very tangible way for them to see you giving something up for the Lord. And when they see your sacrifice, they're going to want to join in.
Yeah, and before we wrap up, do you have a few ideas for them to implement? You said you're taking out candy. Are there other things that you've heard of that would be good for kids where it's not, you're not sending them to school starving, but but they're still learning? Are there other elements like candy that could be beneficial to try?
Sure. They're for us it's the dedicated time of eating. So they in between, like when they come home, they're like, I'm so hungry, and I'm like, hey, if we can wait, let's spend this time and kind of wait until it's time for us to eat. So they're kind of maybe giving up those snacks, the little, like, all throughout the day, and honestly taking that time to be like, hey, let's take a minute and thank God for our food that we're waiting to eat.
Yeah.
Thank God for what we're doing. So it's even those just, 30 minutes more, an hour more of just waiting, but communicating that to them. Now it's harder with a toddler. I'm not going to lie, like that's a different ball game. But when they're older, elementary children, I think that definitely sugar is a thing, but also the time, maybe giving up those snacks in the middle and, doing something like that helps them understand.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, if you're going to try this challenge, if you haven't already included your kids in the fasting journey and you want to try this, let us know that you're doing it and let us know how it goes and implement these, whether it's the candy or the no snacks, just those little ways to teach them the principles of fasting, because they are still kids. So, they still need their food, but regardless, we want to hear from that. So connect with us, connect with the kids team at cornerstonenashville.org and let us know how that fasting challenge works for you. And remember that this is something that we're doing for the Lord, but this is also something we're doing together, so you can do it together as a family, and we're doing it together as a church family. We're almost there, and so we encourage you through the last few days of this fasting journey, stay strong, and just try these principles we talked about today in your home, and let us know how it goes, and we'll see you on the next Devo.